like, subscribe, and hit the little bell button for all notifications, and become a subscriber to the KJLW 42 Productions YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
They had lots of them. I can't remember the boy's name. You remember the tallest boy in the world that died not too long ago?
I remember. I don't remember the name.
I can't remember his name at the moment,
yes.
But we were with him down at a county fair down in southern Illinois. And it started, we were under a tent. I was standing on a chair to get up close to him. I forget how tall he was. Scott looked like a midget beside him. He's big on top of being tall. And it started to blow. We were getting a little rain, and he just reached up and took a hold of the thing on the top of the tent, because it was going to blow away. And he held on to that tent, but it wasn't blowing like a tornado or anything. And that's how tall he was.
That must have been
nice.
The time that I had read about, maybe in this book I told you about earlier. And was that when you kissed the governor?
No, that was another time.
Tell them about this, Lula, Belle. I think this.
Well, they're always putting me up to do things. Anything they think would get a laugh, they want me to do. So Governor Horner of Illinois and the lieutenant governor were there. So when he was out making his little talk, they put me up to run out and kiss him on the cheek, which I did. And he wasn't expecting it, and it did. He turned a little red. I guess, you would. Some nut run out and make kiss, And so the next year, should I tell what he said the next year? He came back the next year, and in the meantime, I'd had Linda. And he said he didn't think he'd better let Lula Belle kiss him this year, that she kissed him last year. This year she had a baby.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
That's what he said right there on the air.
Could we go off a little bit to Hollywood and talk just about the movies? You and Scott appeared in 7 movies during your career. And I think the first of those was called Shine On Harvest Moon,
right, with Roy Rogers.
And that is being shown now on cable television over much of the country.
I know. I've many people have told me about it. It was shown around here on public television somewhere.
Mary saw that.
Did
yes, she saw that a while back.
In that, did they show me sweeping dirt under a rug in the kitchen? Do you recall? Scott and I were in the kitchen, and he was playing the banjo.
I'm not sure if you get to see the whole.
Didn't you? Well, that was the thing of all. They didn't tell me to do that. I did that on my own. And that was what was remembered, what we were remembered by out of that movie, was me sweeping the dirt under the rug.
Was that your first movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it was Roy's second or third.
Roy Acuff.
Roy Rogers.
Oh, Roy Rogers. Oh, okay. And then you appeared in 6 others, and I remember one was called The National Bar Dance.
Yeah, that was over at Paramount. The others we made at Republic Studios.
Okay. And are there any people, I wanted to bring in one person and ask you about this one, but there were several well-known people who played in those, I think. Robert Benchley, was it? Benchley.
And there was John Archer, was an actor. But we hardly ever got to see them doing they were.
You would do your shots.
We'd do our
they would
stuff,
do,
and most of the days they weren't scheduled on the days that we were scheduled.
But one person that you did do a number of shots with, and I thought was a very funny lady, and that was Vera Vague.
Oh.
Her real name was Barbara Jo Allen.
And she's a fine lady and a beautiful woman.
She was a beautiful woman, and I had seen her in a lot of movies, comedies. She was on the Bob Hope Show later for years and years. I believe her husband was producer of the Bob Hope Show.
I didn't know her that well.
And she was very funny, and I know you did have some scenes with her.
Yeah, we did.
And I had often wondered if she were as funny off stage as she was on.
Well, she was very proper off stage. She's a well-educated gal, and she spoke very well, But she was talented. She was funny.
Are there others that you remember, anything outstanding about any of the character actors who were... Pappy Cheshire, is that a name? That
Pappy Cheshire.
Okay.
He was from St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
He was on there for years, on the radio station, Pappy Cheshire.
But he was in some of the movies with you,
yes,
wasn't he? Uh-huh. And those movies had simple plots, it seemed, that a small town. But see, it was reaching small towns. It was reaching people in small towns.
We weren't working to the people downtown Chicago.
Right. So you were really relating to people of small towns, which you did on radio. I think that you were relating to the farmers and the working people.
It's funny looking back on it, Marshall. I can't remember. When we would be singing, I couldn't imagine any more than maybe 2 or 3 people might be listening, because we sort of were singing. I had to look with my mind. I had to picture somebody that might be listening, and I never thought of a big crowd listening. No, in later years I did, but when we sang love songs and things like that, or home songs, we always. People used to have radios in their barns when they milked their cows of a morning and listened to us. We got lots of mail.
And then too, you did other radio programs like Morning in the Blue Ridge. I remember.
Yeah.
But you were not in the Blue Ridge.
Breakfast in the Blue Ridge.
Breakfast in the Blue Ridge. You were not in the Blue Ridge. Right?
No, for some reason that didn't catch on too much. We made them. Now, the fellow, Jack Stilwell, that wrote those Breakfast in the Blue Ridge scripts, we made these in Chicago. He came down here and spent 3 or 4 weeks getting acquainted with people all around and got some names of the people so he could say he'd been down to see Frank Phillips or he'd been here to see somebody there. Yeah, and he wrote the skits, the scripts. And they were cute.
I thought you were in the Blue Ridge. Really. I used to listen on my way to work. In the mornings, we got it about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd be driving up to the next town to work, and I'd turn on the radio, and it came through a local station, Morning in the Blue Ridge. Well, I thought you were here in the Blue Ridge.
Well, everybody
all
did.
The time.
A lot of people.
Up in Chicago.
The milkman, somebody told us, I don't know, I didn't think they had milkman then, but somebody told us here that the milkman up went over to that cottage, the one that you saw coming in, and left milk back there for us. They thought we were there. But I didn't think they had milkmen then, but I was told that.
Yes.
Around here, you had your cow, or no, I guess they might have had somebody like that, milkman.
Delivering milk, yes. Are there any outstanding things that you can remember about the barn dance, I guess? Before we go into retirement here, you did so many things that I know it's hard to recall.
I can't. Things usually just went along, when we were there. There weren't any. One time I remember Mr. Butler, who owned the radio station, he didn't like anybody, these boys, wearing any rhinestone cowboy outfits. He just would not put up with it. So I never changed my costume. I always went right on wearing the kind of costumes. I did get some different shoes, though, I meant to tell you, instead of those peakety-toed things. Yeah. And one night he came to the barn dance, and we had some guests there entertaining on this. I forget who they were, but they were really fancy, duded up. Mr. Butler and Mrs. Butler quite often would sit out front in the front row and watch the show. So they came back stage after the first show, and he grabbed me by the hands. He said, "Come with me a minute." So he took me by the hand. I thought, Lord of mercy, what have I done? Everybody was afraid of Mr. Butler. He'd fire you or something, I guess. You know how you feel. And he took me over there, and he told these boys, he said, "Now listen, I will not put up with you ever being on this show again dressed up like a dude like that. You come here, you take them, look at this girl and see how she's dressed," and so on. Well, I thought he meant to dress, they were supposed to dress like you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he was holding me up as an example how they should dress, and but he just meant simply, I guess. I tried to figure that out.
Oh, that's a good one. Little Belle, let's take a break.
Okay.
And you folks out there, you hold on because we're going to be back with more with Little Belle Wiseman.
Scare these people to death.
Like, subscribe to this channel, and become a Funny Tuber today. And click the bell button for all notifications. Hope you're enjoying this very rare interview with Lula Belle, and Scotty, with Marshall Dow, which was my great uncle. So, a very rare interview here. Hope you enjoyed it. Become a subscriber here at KJW42 Productions. Much appreciated. Let's get back to the show. Hopefully.
With Lula Belle Wiseman in
Standing now.
Standing now. Okay. We didn't tell that before. Okay, about your feller. Okay. We didn't ask you that before, but we're going to ask more personal things this time, I think. In fact, Lula Belle has a son and a daughter.
Yeah, Linda Lou and Stephen.
And where do they live?
Steve lives in Mesa, Arizona, and Linda and her family in Columbia, South Carolina. Linda she got started a little bit late on having babies, but she's got one now that's 118, 117, 116, and she's going crazy.
Really?
And
Yeah,
she's
all
50.
teenagers.
She's 50. I can't imagine she could be 50, but she is. Born in 36.
36, sure.
She was 50 last January.
And Stephen is...
Steve is, he's in business for himself. He's in computers. And doing very well, I guess. I hear he just bought a new fancy sports car, so he must be doing all right. To get one of those.
And your grandchildren, how many grandchildren?
Got 5. Steve has a daughter who just graduated from Arizona State this past May. She's 21. And they have a little boy, a little adopted boy. He's 16, 15. And Linda and her husband have Fred, who is Fred the Third, who is 18, and Scott, who was named after his grandfather, Scott Gregory, and Allison, little 15-year-old daughter. So we have 5. I should tell you, a lot of people wouldn't know about Scott's passing away back in 1981.
Right.
We had been in Florida for a month. We had just started building the house we're sitting here. We wanted to move off the hill out of the big house and down here. And we had just, it was under a roof and it had the siding on it, but we wanted to get back, so we just stayed a month that time. And on the way home, we stopped in Gainesville to get some gasoline, and he filled up the tank. Started to get in the car. He put his wallet back in his pocket. I remember seeing him do these things. And he started to get in the car, and as he got in the car, he just pitched backwards and hit his head on the cement, what do you call it, around the island.
Oh, the aisle around the pumps.
A bone-crunching sound, and I had my seatbelt on, and I couldn't get it undone to get out and go around and see it, but I did. And I picked up his head. I was just sure he must be bleeding, and he wasn't. He didn't bleed. And I tried to get a pulse and couldn't get one. This all happened within 2 minutes' time. Yeah. And I heard a sort of a gurgle in his throat, and I thought, well, he's still alive, he's breathing. And it took about 10 minutes for the rescue squad to get there. And they made me get out of the way so they could work with him, and about 5 minutes later they came and said that he was gone, and I couldn't believe it. I thought they meant that they wanted to take him to the hospital or something, and they said a little later they told me that if it was any consolation, he never knew when he hit that cement, and I'm so glad, because it was a bone-crunching sound. And I just about died. I got cancer and everything after that, and lost a kidney.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that same year. I had cancer in my nose, and I had a bunch of cobalt treatments, and all kinds of stuff. But I've been clear now. I'm in my 5th year, and I've been clear.
Great.
Feel real glad.
That is great.
And then I never dreamed of marrying again. I hate to say it, but I was sort of enjoying my independence. I'd always been bossed by somebody, from my dad to Scott, and I could just do as I pleased. I finished this house, and my mother was with me at that time. I would never have made it without my mother. She was 86 then. She since died 2 years ago. But she is what pulled me through that thing, and I made it. And about 2 years later, well, it's a long story about how I came to get with Ernie, but I never dreamed of marrying again. But he's a hometown boy. He's from this county. And he'd lost his wife about the same time that I had lost Scott. And I knew him because Scott built log houses for a hobby, and then he made a good profit out of them too, real old-timey log houses. And they bought one of them, so I knew them only that way. When they came up for summer, we'd maybe see them for dinner a time or two. So it's too long-winded to go into how, but we did get together, and we got married in '82, fall of '80, no, March of '82. So very happily married.
Well, we're looking forward to meeting him if we get over to
to Berea.
Berea in Kentucky.
He's in Florida right now. He took that mean dog out there. I noticed you were looking at the dog sign.
Yeah, I was looking for the sign.
What's wrong? The dog is about 16 and he's deaf.
Oh.
And you can't call him because he won't hear you. So we just put up all these signs because we don't want him to bite. He has bitten people, but I hate it, not seriously, but I just despise it.
So I guess we could give a plug to this folk festival, couldn't we, Lula Belle?
Yeah, it's the McLean family, what is it? Let's see. The McLean family band, and they have a festival up at Berea. I think it's the 9th, 10th, and 11th of August. And they're going to have all kinds of people there. Patsy Montana is a starring guest.
Yeah, we hope to get Patsy Montana on this program.
You will, because
with your help, we will.
Well,
I know.
she's a nice little gal. She's a grand little gal. So we're about the same age. She's just a tiny bit older. I guess she's 73 before I'll be. I'll be in Christmas. So I'll be 73, and I think she'll.
And we're looking forward to meeting you and being with you some over there. So.
Well, we'll be there, and I guess we'll end up staying in the same place.
In the Boone Tavern, yes.
Tavern, yeah. I haven't met these folks, but I understand, very, very talented group, and they have a lot of Nashville people on there too. They're having a big.
Right.
I don't have it before me right now.
We haven't been to one before, but I think we'll enjoy this one.
Oh, bring folding chairs.
Oh, okay.
Bring an umbrella, because the sun shines on you and just absolutely burns you.
This is outside then?
It's outside. I'm not sure if theirs is in a shady place, but most of them, there's always, you have to sit out and bring 2 lightweight folding chairs.
So if anybody's interested in coming over in Kentucky to this, we'd love to have them come over.
I'm not going over there to do any entertaining. They got all they need.
We're not either. We're just going over to visit.
Yeah.
Okay, could we move on to maybe in your retirement, after you retired from show business, you and Scott built a home here.
Up on the hill.
Right.
We built a.
And then you became interested or involved in politics.
Well, what happened was, we live in this Tri-County area. Is very strongly Republican, and I happen to be a Democrat. And they wanted Scott to run. They called him and asked him if he would run for the House of Representatives, and he said no, his skin was too thin. So apparently they asked on the telephone that Sunday morning after Sunday school, I remember it just as well, apparently they said, would I? And he turned around and asked me if I would. And I said, oh, Lord, no, I don't have the background, nor the education, nothing. So he told him, no, she won't do it. So in the afternoon, he went in there after lunch to take a nap, and I was lying on the couch, and I got to thinking, well, maybe since the legislature here in North Carolina is very Democratic, I mean, there's mostly Democrats, and the state itself goes Democratic most often. But anyway, I thought maybe I could help them get something in this little old poor county, you know, if I...
Right.
So I called him up and told him I'd do it. Well, Scott and I dedicated it. We talked about it. Said till we get, you get in this and get out of it, it will be, we won't worry about anything else. We'll just do that. We'll keep our minds on getting you elected, and then after that, you doing a good job in the House. Well, I won.
So I want to mention this campaign a little bit, because I think you staged one that's a little unusual anywhere, is in that you went out and entertained your voters instead of speech making mostly.
Very very few speeches. Coming and have I told you lately that I love you? And one called, you got to quit kicking my dog around. Old timey songs.
So that was real politics, I think.
Yeah, and I drew the most votes. Even though this is a Republican county, they were very good to me. I did not carry this county, nor did I carry the other Republican county, but I got enough that I could go down to Burke County, which was half and half, and they could elect me as long as I didn't have too much deficit from here.
Right, from here. So you didn't.
I ended up with a 17,000 majority.
Gee, that's a great
I couldn't
majority.
believe it.
That's a great majority. It really is. So then you went into the State House.
Yes, and that was 1975. And
did you have to make speeches up there, or could you sing to them?
Well, we kind of wanted to keep our singing, that part of it. We wanted it. That wasn't what we were there for. You know.
So you had to speak when you.
Yes, and they had made us sing a few times, just a few. But I hated it because I was more interested in doing something for my county than picking and singing.
Okay.
And as you would know, the press paid more attention to the fact that I'd been in radio all those years than they paid attention to me and what I was doing in the legislature.
Right.
So I served 2 terms. I ran the second time and won again. And then I decided I wouldn't run the 3rd term on account of Scott was batching pretty much here. We had an apartment in Raleigh, and he would stay there in the wintertime, but when spring would break, he'd want to come up here and get the garden plowed, and he was eating pork chops all the time. He was cooking for himself, poor little guy. Well, he wasn't little, but poor guy. And I just thought, at this stage of our lives, I don't belong down here. I belong at home with him. And so I didn't run.
I don't think I mentioned it early. I intended to mention it early to you that so many people who have known, had heard that I was coming up to see you, sent their best wishes and said, tell Belle hello for me. And I may have mentioned it in the very beginning. I don't know.
Don't know.
Anyway, I wanted you to know that the people are thinking about you. They still remember you. And we have certainly enjoyed being with you, and we want to thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you tell those folks when you go back home that I still love them. If they remember me as fondly as you say they do, I think it's lovely, and I thank them very much.
Well, thank you, Belle Wiseman.
You're welcome.
I'd give a lot of dough if someone here would tell me, is it yes or is it no? The spearmint loses flavor on the bedpost overnight. If you chew it in the morning, will it be too hard to bite? Can't you see I'm going